texture. Aren't you a sexy little muffin? I hope I'm a sexy little blueberry muffin.
Rent got too expensive, had to leave LA. So I got into my car and I went away to the big estate. Playing poker every day. Going all in with these fish like I'm at an all-you-can-eat buffet. We're done with Oklahoma. We embark on the 5.5-hour drive south to San Antonio in preparation for our 2-day meetup. Check out the area. We head inside Rounders Card Club. It's an amazing spot and the meetup game is already underway. We take a shot with a few fans of the vlog, which gets us in the mood to gamble. We're playing 1-2, but Texas size though. We're in for 70% of the big stack, so $1,000. First hand of the night, we look down at 6-7 of diamonds from the small blind. Few limps and the action gets limped around and we see a flop of 9-8-6 with 2 diamonds. Open-ended straight flush draw, pretty great board. Action checks to middle position who bets out for $20. The low jack puts in the call and we just have the world on this flop, but we still just have one pair of sixes, so I decided to go for the raise here and I pop it up to $55. In hindsight, it probably could have been a little bit larger, somewhere around $80, but nevertheless, that's the sizing I chose, and middle position goes all in for 67. Low jack gets out of the way, I put in the additional $12 and we're off to a run out. Because I have an open-ended straight flush draw, I agreed to run it twice with him. Pretty cool to hit a straight flush on our first hand here at Rounders. The opponent turns over 10-8 offsuit, so he has top pair and a gutter to the straight, although we're blocking it having the 7 of diamonds in our hand. First board comes the ace of spades, followed by the 10 of clubs. We're going to scoop the first one with a straight on the river. Second board comes the 8 of clubs pairing the board, and the river comes the jack of spades. He's going to take that one down, and we're going to chop up that pot. Fortunately, no straight flush for us on the first hand.
Don't get her name in there.
Aren't you a sexy little woman?
Oh, damn. I text her, aren't you a sexy little muffin? I hope I'm a sexy little blueberry muffin. Tell her I'm a toast that you like plum.
Yes, he started a channel. He's got fans. I love him.
That's right, baby.
Hey, Wolf. Yeah. I got you something.
Oh, I always say this anyways. Thank you. She's starting a new channel. It'll be up in like a year. Next hand of note, we look down at ace king offsuit. There's a few limps to me. I pop it up to $20 and we end up getting 3 callers, going 4 ways to the flop. Flop comes ace king jack rainbow. Obviously flopping 2 pair in a multi-way pot is a pretty great situation. I bet out for $35. Only the cutoff puts in the call, so we're heads up to the turn, which comes the 5 of clubs. There's still a lot of combos to get value from that the opponent could have. We have top 2 pair. That's going to be pretty good here. I fire out for $55. The cutoff ships it all in for $130. I didn't come to Rounders to fold 2 pairs, so I put in the call, a snap call on my part, and we're off to a run out. River comes the deuce of diamonds. The opponent shows king 10 offsuit for top pair and a gutter. I turn over my top 2, and we're going to take down that $410 pot, up $175 on the session already. That's going to lead us into the next hand. We look down at ace 3 offsuit, and I raise it up to $12. Our buddy Marcelo, or Marsh all in as he goes by YouTube, puts in the call and we're heads up to the flop, which comes ace king king. We flop 2 pair. Marcelo checks it to me and I decide to check behind here. The only hands that are really going to call us if we go for a bet are ones that have us beat. Any ace other than ace deuce has us beat. Any king is obviously going to have trips. I check behind and that brings in the 7 of hearts on the turn, which Marcelo thinks is a good card to lead out on for $20. I decide to just flat call here and we're off to a river. River gives us a full house and we're going to chop against any other ace. Pretty great river for us, and Marcelo leads out for $75. I probably could just be ripping it in here considering the fact we're only losing to pocket kings, but I'm not trying to get that ambitious this early in the session. I just put in the flat call for $75, expecting to be chopping 100% of the time, but not when Marcelo turns over our favorite hand, pocket sevens. I'm sure he was just trying to bluff us off a hand here and then show down my favorite hand for the vlog. No good, Marcelo. We're going to take down that $216 pot. Happy to be scooping a large one against one of my buddies. Alright you guys, we're up to $12.50 in our stack. We look down at King Queen offsuit and I raise it up to $15. Marcelo puts in the call to my left, and now Tim in the cutoff 3-bets us to $60. Action folds back around to me and I'm not going anywhere. I stick in the additional $45 and we're off to a flop heads up against Tim, which gives us an open-ended straight draw. Comes Jack 10-3 rainbow. Pretty great board for us. We have 2 overs as well. I check it over to Tim, who decides to check behind. I expect him to go for a c-bet here, so when he checks behind and the turn comes the Queen of Hearts. Pretty great card for us. We still have our open-ended straight flush draw, but now we have top pair to go along with it. I don't really like leading out here. I like check raising or check calling a lot better. If we lead out here and get raised, we're in a tough spot. The opponent also could be checking back ace king on the flop, only to make the nuts on the turn. I check it over to Tim and he actually decides to check it back for a second time here. I'm confidently eliminating ace king from his range now, but he still could have some hands like jack 10, queen 10, maybe a hand like 9-10 as well. The river comes the deuce of clubs, did not change anything on this board. When Tim checks the flop and the turn, we need to be going for value now. I bet out for $45, looking to get called by any of the 1-pair hands. Maybe ace 10, ace jack, or ace queen might find a call here, but that's not the route that Tim elects to go for. He goes for the raise now to $150. His line doesn't really make too much sense. He checked back the turn, which I can confidently eliminate most sets in 2 pairs, along with the nut straight of ace king. Given the fact that it is my meetup game and we've had shots at the table, I'm giving Tim some credit here for going for a river bluff. So $105 more to me. I put in the call. If he has us beat, he has to show us, and that's exactly what he does when he shows us ace king. Interesting line for Tim, but he's a great guy. He's going to take down this $438 pot. I'm giving back to the poker community here at my meetup game.
Charlie.
Woo! I'm here with the legend himself. Give me those.
Triple OG.
Where are you from?
Chicago.
Oh, he's from Chicago. No wonder we like each other. What's up?
Yeah, that's what's up.
Hey, if you guys see him out here at Rounders or the Lodge, you give him some respect. He's in the bathrooms every single day, right, man?
That's it. Not
All right,
4 or 5 times a week.
Hey, nice meeting you, man.
You too, man.
Yeah. $750 in our stack. We look down from the button at pocket aces, pocket rockets here, and the hijack actually raises it up to $15. 3-bet incoming to me. I pop it up to $35. Probably should be going larger, like 45 to 55. No worries though. The opponent puts in the call and we're going heads up to the flop in position. Flop's a decent one. It comes queen, jack, 8 rainbow, and the opponent checks it over to me. Pretty standard c-bet incoming for me. I fire out for $30 and the opponent decides to put in the call. So we're going to see a turn card, which brings in the 9 of diamonds. 4-liner to the straight. Any combination of 10 like queen 10, 8 10, jack 10 are all going to have us beat now. But there is a diamond draw to consider as well. When the opponent checks to me for a second time, I think checking back is probably the best play. Let's put it into the solver and see what it says. And indeed, we can see that the solver prefers a check 62% of the time with my exact hand. With pocket kings though, it's going for a 1/3 pot size bet. But with hands like queens and jacks, even though they're sets, we should be checking more often than not. Pocket tens though is a 50-50 flip, considering the fact we do have a straight. As you can see, we're also supposed to be checking behind with all of our ace 7 through ace 3 suiteds. So interesting to note. Let's get back to the hand and see what we did in the moment. The point of a solver is to help you get better. In the moment, I didn't have this information, so I actually go for a half pot size bet here of $65. And even though this is the wrong play in the long run, the solver still likes it around 30% of the time, so it can't be that bad in the moment. The hijack puts in the call and we're off to the river, which pairs the board. It comes the 8 of spades. Expecting the hijack to check it over to me for a 3rd time, I'm just going to check behind here with my 2 pair and my showdown value, but I don't get the option to do that when the hijack bets out for $135, half the size of the pot. Not a really great spot, but if the opponent is overvaluing a hand like queen jack, queen 9, we do have it beat now with aces and 8s. Also, busted diamonds might play this way as well, knowing that they're not good by the river if I check behind. The hands that we're losing to here are obviously sets, any hand with an 8 in it, and any hand with a 10 in it. I think the best play here is just to fold, but I make another interesting call here and decide to put in the money and have the opponent show us the best hand, which is what happens. She shows ace 10 offsuit, so she turned the straight and gets max value from us with our pocket aces. It's a friendly game though. I turn over my hand and let her know that she was behind until the turn. $533 going the opponent's way. Not our night so far, down $515 on the session. Next hand of note, we look down at Jack 8 of clubs from middle position. I open it up to $15 and the cutoff and the big blind both put in the call. We're off to a flop three ways, which comes ace 8-3 with two clubs. A pair and a flush draw is pretty great. I decide not to bet my range here. I check it over the cutoff, who fires out for $15. Could be going for a check raise here, but that looks pretty strong and I just have a pair and a flush draw. So I stick in the $15 and we see the queen of hearts on the turn. Not going to be leading out into the cutoff when he bets the flop. I check it over to him and he actually checks behind, which brings the 4 of clubs on the river. Bang, we river the flush. When the opponent checks behind on the turn, we need to be betting here on the river for value. Can't risk it getting checked through again. I fire out for $55. Cutoff's a non-believer. He tosses in the $55 worth of chips. We turn over our jack high flush and the opponent's going to muck his hand. He turns over a6 offsuit though to show the table he had a pair and we got lucky on the river. Nice hand, sir. $186 coming our way. This next hand's an interesting one. We get into a hand with Tim here, a fairly large one at that. We look down at ace 10 offsuit and I raise it up to $15 from the cutoff. We get 3 callers, one of them's Tim, and we're going 4 ways to the flop. With $60 in the pot, the flop comes 10-9-7. Obviously flopping top is a pretty great situation and Tim now leads out for $20, which is going to get looked up by the under the gun position. Actions on me, we could be going for a raise here. Given the fact there's Jack 8 and 8-6 having a straight, there's also a lot of set combos like pocket 9s and pocket 7s that would play this way as well. I just decide to flat call and put in the $20. The turn comes at ace of diamonds. We turn top 2. Pretty great situation, and Tim does not appear to slow down in the slightest. He bets out for $60. The under the gun gets out of the way and folds. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm also not going to be raising here. I stick in the $60 in position when we're off to the river. River comes at 8 of diamonds, puts a 4-liner to any straight. Additionally, it brings in the backdoor flush draw. Any jack, any 6, or any combination of 2 diamonds is going to have the best hand, not to mention pocket 9s or pocket 7s on the flop. Tim's in the small blind, he has first action, and there's 240 in the pot, and he nearly matches that, betting out 8 green chips. That's $200 in the actions on me. Having the 10 of diamonds in my hand is an interesting card because it does block some combination of flushes. For instance, if we were worried about him having a flush, we could eliminate hands like queen 10 of diamonds, considering the fact we have it in our hand. But when he bets all 3 streets here and on the flop and the turn it was multi-way, I think he's just weighted to a lot more nutted hands, ones that have 2 pair beat. Friendly game, like I said, I'm going to show the table my hand, hoping it induces Tim to show his as well. Table's a little bit shocked that I folded top 2 pair, but not until Tim turns over king 9 of diamonds. He gets lucky on the river there. Great fold by me, even though I'm down $600 on the session. Happy to not pay off another $200, even to a nice guy like Tim. There's a few vlog watchers that want to play 1-2-5, a larger game, so we hop out of the 1-2 game for $947, a net loss of $653 after we rebought for $600 in the session. Looking to avenge our loss in that 1-2 game, we're into the larger game for $2347.
You didn't hit me. Nice to meet you, Phil. Thank you.
First hand from the bigger game, we look down at Queen Jack offsuit. The $10 button straddle is on and I raise it up to $35. Just the cutoff puts in the call, so going heads up to the flop. Out of position to the cutoff, the flop comes 8-5-4 rainbow. This is a flop that's going to favor the cutoff's calling range rather than my hijack raising range, so I decide to check it over to him and he checks behind, which brings the queen of hearts on the turn. We turn top pair. Pretty great situation. I'm not going to check it over to him now that we make probably the best hand. I lead out for $35. I expect the opponent to call us with a lot of speculative hands. If he had a hand like 8-9, pocket 6s, pocket 7s, something of that nature, he can't just immediately put us on a queen. I'm probably going to be betting here with my ace king high, ace jack high, things of that nature as well. So when I lead out for $35, he's a non-believer and sticks in the call, which brings the 6 of hearts on the river. Very connected board. Any 7's going to have a straight. Additionally, the heart draw came in on the river as well. $160 in the pot, and I'm going to go for a check call here on the river. I don't want to lead out and get raised. Instead, I'll give the opponent a chance to bluff. That's not what he does though. He checks behind, we turn over a queen jack offsuit, and that's going to take down that pot up $30 in this 1-2-5 game, which brings us over to the next hand. We look down at 8-9 of spades. $10 button straddles on again. I'm in the hijack and I raise it up to $35. Just the button puts in the call, so going heads up to the flop, which comes queen 9-7 with 2 clubs. Decent board for our range. We're going to have a lot of ace queen and king queen. We just have a pair, but I go for a c-bet here, 1/3 the size of the pot for $25, and the button puts in the call. When the turn comes to queen of diamonds, I decide to go for another bet here for $65. My logic is I'm going to have most of the king queen and ace queens in my range. Sure, the opponent could have a queen in his range as well, but if I go for a bet here, it's going to fold out a lot of his weaker hands. He's probably only going to call us here with a queen, a set, or a flush draw, but that's definitely in the minority. I lead out for $65, and the button does find a call in this spot, so proceeding with caution to the river, which comes the 10 of hearts. When we get called on the flop in the turn, I'm going to give up here and check. There's $258 in the pot. I expect him to check behind with a lot of his hands that have marginal showdown value. A lot of his strong queens will go for a bet here, but a lot of his club flush draws will do this as well. Let's look at his sizing now. He bets out for $400. While I'm thinking about my decision, let's pull this back into my solver and see what it recommends me doing. If we go back to my decision on the river, it likes me checking 8-9 of spades 100% of the time. Let's see what it recommends the button doing. The button's supposed to be checking 60% of the time and only betting around 66% of the pot around 38% of the time, and he's going to do that with hands like pocket tens, queen jack offsuit, and king queen offsuit. When we tell the solver, the opponent goes for 150% pot size bet, which is pretty consistent with what he did on the river here, betting 400 into 250. Let's see what it recommends me doing. Obviously, we get here with 8-9 of spades, and it's going to recommend me folding this 82% of the time. Interesting to note, though, that it agrees with some of my logic, and 17.9% of the time, I'm supposed to be finding a call, picking off a lot of the club flush draws that are missing, as well as straight draws as well that miss. To be fair, though, with our entire range, we're supposed to be folding around 62% of the time. We're supposed to be jamming all in with 10-9 suited and pocket nines. Okay, with that newfound knowledge, let's jump back into the hand and see what I do. Like the solver said, it's an 80-20 decision between folding and calling. In the moment though, it's my meetup game. I'm feeling pretty good from some of the drinks, and plus I'm stuck over $700 in the session, so that leads me to put in the call. I toss in 4 black chips. Please, opponent, show us a busted flush draw like ace-8 of clubs. That's not what he shows though. He shows queen 10 offsuit for the rivered boat. Had a pair, turned trips, and rivered the boat. He's going to take down that over $1,000 pot, and we look pretty stupid here on the vlog. You can let me know down in the comments if any of you would have called him off here with a pair of 9s, looking to make a hero call and be a hero for the vlog. Instead, I'm an idiot and I'm down $375 on the session. If you guys appreciate my vulnerability in posting a hand of this nature where I look like a complete fool, but then I evaluate it in my solver, please consider dropping a subscribe. I put a lot of time and effort into these videos, and we're almost at 30,000 subscribers. You can be one that helps me get to that point. Drop a subscribe to help out the channel, and let's just jump into the next hand. Next hand we look down at is 6-8 of spades, and I'm in the under the gun position. I raise it up to $20, and we're going to get 3 callers, so we're going 4 ways to the flop. With $80 in the pot, the flop comes jack 7-4 with 2 spades. We have a gutter to a straight, and we have the front door flush draw. I think this is a great spot to go out for a $55 bet. We get looked up by the big blind, who tosses in the chips as well. We're going heads up to the turn, which comes with 3 of clubs. Nothing changes for us other than the size of the pot is now bloated to $190. When the big blind checks to us for a second time, I decide to check behind, hoping to see a 5 or a spade on the river, which is exactly what comes. It comes a 9 of spades. Bang! We river the flush. Big blind checks it over to me for a 3rd time, and now that we have probably the best hand on an unpaired board, a flush is going to be good here a large portion of the time. I bet out for $120. Big blind snap calls us. He's a non-believer. Doubt he has us beat when he doesn't go for the raise. I turn over my 8 high flush, and he mucks his cards. We're going to take down that $430 pot, which was definitely much needed on this session. That brings us to the next hand. We look down at ace jack offsuit from the button. I put the $10 straddle on. Middle position opens it up to $20. The player to my right calls, the big blind calls, and action's back onto me. A lot of dead money out there, and I'm going to 3-bet it. I pop it up to $125. Middle position and the cutoff both put in the call, so we're going 3 ways to the flop in position. 385 in the pot. Let's see a good flop here, dealer, which comes ace king 10. We have top pair and a gutter to Broadway. Action checks to me, and I decide a c-bet is in order. There's 385 in the pot. 1/3 size of the pot would be around 125. That's what I do, and the middle position decides to look me up for that price, which brings the jack of spades on the turn. Interesting card because although we improved to 2 pair, any queen is going to have us beat. Hands like king queen, jack queen, 10 queen are all going to have Broadway. Middle position checks it to me for a second time. For that reason, I decide to check back here and see what the river card brings in, which comes the 8 of hearts. Does not change absolutely anything. Middle position checks it to me for a third time. I think me 6 months or a year ago would check behind here, scared of the opponent having a queen, but when he checks all 3 streets to me, especially on the river, that's an important one to note. I think he'd bet out with a hand like king queen or queen jack. It's likely he has a 1 or 2 pair type holding, all of which I beat except for ace king. So he checks it over to me for a third time, and this whole speech I gave you is leading up to me being proud of me going for a river bet here of $385. I'm targeting all of his 1 or 2 pair type holdings. I think in the future though, I like this bet, but I would go a little bit smaller, somewhere around $200. Should get me paid off a lot more frequently. The opponent decides to fold his cards. We're going to take down that $635 pot, almost even from our disaster call with 9-8 of spades, but really happy I decided to go for the river bet there. That brings us into this next hand. We look down at queen jack of clubs. I raise it up to $30 and I get 3 callers. The cutoff now pops it up to $160. The button straddler puts in the call. I decide to call as well, and the player to my left thinks it's a great price. He tosses in the money as well. We're going 4 ways to the flop. With $640 in the pot, the flop gives us top pair, comes jack 7-4, all spades. Not exactly a fan of the monotone board. The action gets checked over to the cutoff, who was the $160 raiser pre-flop. This time he goes for a bet of $225, around 1/3 the size of the pot. The button puts in the call, and I think with 1 pair here we're getting a great price. It'd be pretty stupid for us to call 160 pre-flop, only to flop a pair and then fold. I'm not a nit. I toss in the 225. Player to my left gets out of the way, and we see the 10 of diamonds on the turn. I check it over the cutoff, begging him to slow down with a lot of his range. If he has the ace or king of spades in his hand, he could go for another bet here. That's what he does. He bets out for $850. The button quickly puts in the call, and that's a sign for me to get out of this hand. Even though if a hand was showdown value, it's likely I'm behind here. Any pocket pair like queens through aces is obviously going to have me crushed. There's a lot of flush combos in both the opponent's ranges, especially the button when he cold calls. So I get out of the way, and we're going to see what the river card brings in. It comes to 7 of hearts. Cutoff now rips it all in for $2,700 effective. Into the 3K pot. The button gets out of the way. We're not going to see what he has. That's a bummer. Just going to have to wonder what the opponent has. It's likely he had the button beat when he rips it for $2,700. We're almost back to even, but now stuck $800 on this 1-2-5 session. All right, you guys, that wraps up our amazing meetup game here at Rounders. Day 1 of 2. Day 2 of 2 is going to be the 5-10 live stream. Hopefully, we can make back some of the money we lost today. Got out of the 1-2. We played that for like 5 hours. Got out of that 1-2 for a loss of $653. Then we jumped into the 1-2-5, hoping to run up a stack, only to incorrectly pick up a bluff and get in a couple other large hands where we just really didn't have too much of the goods. Got out of that game for a loss of $654, a net loss of $1307 on the day. But don't worry, I had a great time meeting all of you guys today. This is how we're doing on the road trip, going a little bit in the wrong direction, but we're still killing it so far, exceeding expectations. As always, I really appreciate you guys liking and subscribing. If you're new here, consider subscribing. Let's try to get to 30K by the end of the year. As always, good luck on the felt. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace. Thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.